Good morning, beautiful people of the Center for Spiritual Living. Our practice this month is gratitude as a spiritual practice. And the point of the practice is expressed through the lyrics of this song that you just heard, composed by one of America's finest group of songwriters, Carol Bayer Sager, David Foster, and Richard Page, and made famous, I think, by Josh Groban. Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. Well, the lyrics explain everything. It starts off by saying, some days we forget to look around us. And some days we can't see the joy that surrounds us because we're not looking. And why are we not looking? Well, sometimes it's because we're so caught up inside ourselves and we end up taking more than we give. So the gratitude practice is intended to be the antidote for that. And we're invited every day this month through this little booklet to make a list of 10 things that we are grateful for related to various different topics. And on Wednesday, May 15th, I noticed that I was thinking of this song, rehearsing it with Chris, and the topic came forward, what I appreciate about our natural resources. And I thought about that, how sometimes I don't look around us, myself, and I take for granted. And I noticed that before I started making the list, I made contact with a certain sadness in me related to our resources. And I just sat there with it and thought about how not looking can lead to unconscious use. You know, the word resources, I remember once looking up in Wikipedia, and there was this very startling little bit of information that I knew, but I just guess I needed to look at it. It said that the vast majority of resources are exhaustible, which means that they have a finite quantity and can and will be used up, especially if managed improperly. I know the universe is infinite. I know that. And inexhaustible. But resources, not so much. I mean, I don't mean to be a downer on the month of gratitude, but in 1914, the last passenger pigeon died in a zoo in Cincinnati, and her name was Martha. And Martha's kind used to flood our skies in America with black swarms of pigeons. And there isn't one on the earth anymore. The quagga, that strange mixture of zebra and horse, the last one passed away in a zoo in Amsterdam in the 1800s. And there was a species of sea cows. They're called the Steller sea cows. Well, they were gone from this planet in less than 30 years since they were discovered and harvested for oil for lamps. You know, so I was thinking about that. And further in Wikipedia, it says that a resource is considered inexhaustible if it won't run out in the near future. Like solar radiation and geothermal energy, but even those one day will cease to be. And as I sat with this list, I realized this gratitude practice is helping me notice and acknowledge and even revere the temporariness and the fragility of things, and to not just gloss over that, to take it in for how powerful it is, and that I and you, we are stewards of it while we are temporarily in this place with these things. And so I began to write my list with that in mind. I said, what I appreciate with humility about natural resources is that I am responsible for the way I treat them and how I show up as a steward of them. And I wrote, I'm grateful that I can take steps to change my use of resources, very easy things, with recycling, purchasing consciously, Now, I really got into it. I said, I'm very grateful that I know how to turn off a light when I walk out of a room, and I can't do it if I want to. And I'm very grateful that I can, if I want to, live a life that is less wasteful. So I started to research what are things that I don't have to use if I didn't want to, and there's so much. Plastic wrap, aluminum foil, all the disposable items, disposable pens, disposable razors, disposable pens, disposable cleaning cloths, and I started really delving down, and then I got to electronic gadgets that have risen up to make life more convenient that used to be manual. You know, a pencil sharpener, do I really need an electric one? Can opener, do I really need an electric one? I've been thinking about it, you know. And then individually wrapped, portioned items for, the practice is working on me. You know, I'm looking deeply into the nature of things and realizing how easy it is for me to forget to look around and then to live life on autopilot. A lot of people in the community are telling me the same thing, that this practice is working them, you know, in different areas with different ways. Some of them inspired by this book, 365 Thank Yous, that John Kralik wrote, in which he shares that he decided one year to write a thank you note every day of the year. And one woman in the community told me that she decided she'd do the same thing. She'll just do it for 1 month, for 30 days. She'll write a thank you note to everybody. And in doing so, she started to realize some very powerful things. The first thing she realized, she said, I'm going to need more than 30 cards. Because that's the nature of the work. It opens our eyes to what is important and to what we cherish. And she suddenly became aware of how many people in her life are deserving of her gratitude and appreciation. And the second thing she realized, she said, I don't have physical addresses anymore. Who carries an address book? She said, I know what their email address is. And so now she is having to lean more into life, that closer intimacy, to let's find where each other lives. Another person said she is enjoying the feeling of practicing gratitude around people she loves, just that enjoying, the taking time to enjoy a grandchild. And what she realized out of the practice is as she sat with that enjoyment, she started to look beyond and see that everyone is deserving of that appreciation. And what happened for her, she said that it happened that she realized that everyone was becoming relevant. That's powerful. You received a thank you card when you came in. I got one too. This is mine. Where's mine? Oh, I've lost mine already. Oh, here it is. I love it. No, it's not there. Oh, here it is. Thank you. Got a thank you card when you came in. And the reason why you've got the thank you card is because I want to invite you, if you aren't already engaged in the practice of gratitude, to take this assignment if you choose to accept it, and to carry this card around with you for the next several days and look around you to look for and seek the opening. You see, you may think you already know who is the person that should receive this card, but I ask you not to rush. I mean, buy another card for that person, certainly. But I invite you to carry this around with your mind on search for the opportunity, because there's something about that opening when we look that way that draws in to our view opportunities. It may be a waitstaff at a restaurant. It could be a coworker. Maybe it's a mother tending to a noisy child. And then maybe you can even find a way to get it anonymously delivered. You know, so that's not creepy. Don't rush in, just look and something will come to you. That taking the time is so important. It's what one of the members of the community reported to me, said, I'm noticing that I am taking more of life in because I'm taking more time to be with life. And the realization he reported having is that he says, this practice is changing my awareness because it's literally bringing things into focus that were just part of the automatic landscape. And so it's really causing me to enjoy the most ordinary things. Which is what another person quoted, saying, I noticed from this practice that I don't really need stellar, big, large-scale events for my gratitude to be present. I'm noticing that at the end of the day, sometimes my gratitude is just that today I just listened a little better. Or today I had the opportunity, but I didn't control my children's lives. Gratitude. You see, it's a deeply sincere practice to look past the surface of things. It's not a pep talk to be happy in difficult times. It's to look into life deeply. So in the middle of the booklet, there's this piece of writing from Nancy Burns, the author of Closures, who talks about the dangers of rushing through grief and what it costs us when we do that. And she writes, telling people to be thankful should not be wielded as a weapon. There are times when we face trials and it is hard to be cheery. Sometimes telling others to look on the bright side and be thankful for what you have is a strategy for avoiding people's pain and struggles. Yeah, so I tend to not tell people to be grateful. I tend to make it more of a personal practice to see if I can do it. Can I actually do it in difficult times? And I'm finding that very challenging. So I'm in the experiment. Can I do it? And I'm getting as much inspiration as I can to keep at it. Like the other piece of writing in here from my friend Randall Friesen, who said, no, there are no bad things. Certainly there are circumstances that we label bad. Like my car registration going up or a really awful haircut, those seem bad to me, and yet I've seen great things come into my life from bad experiences. So I'm really taking this to heart. He says, so I changed the word bad to challenging. Immediately when I do that, my mental state shifts to one in which I'm not defeated, but inspired. After all, what's the opinion? Bad things happen on a daily basis. And I can let them upset and control me, or I can use them productively and benevolently. Since I desire a life of happiness and productivity, I'm choosing the latter. So I'm really taking this to heart. He says, so I give thanks for the scary things, the monsters in the dark corners. If nothing else, they provide contrast, and the light is more dazzling after being in the dark. I give thanks for the tragic headlines in the news even, because they inspire me to know more about others and to take positive action, to do what I can to make the world a better place. I give thanks for the people in my life who don't like me or what I do, because I learn valuable lessons from them about myself and how to understand better why I do what I do. And I'm reading this and I'm thinking, I want to practice like that too. I'm sitting there with it, thinking about my life, and it occurred to me, I'm trying to give thanks for the most difficult of situations. It takes courage and heart and tenderness. And I even hesitate to share with you a story because I don't want to evoke a response. But for me, it's a milestone. I want to share with you a conversation in which a woman came to me to let me know that she considers that I fall short in every area of being a good leader. Well, no, I take it to heart because I'm not going to demonize her. She let me know that there is nothing for her in any of my messages that is useful. Now, I'm sharing that with you because I can see the gift. Because what I got out of that was how easy it is for me to refer to externals for my well-being and my happiness. And her expression was an invitation for me, which path am I going to walk down? Because the easy path is to make her wrong and point out how wrong she is, but that's the path of the world. Instead, what it did was bring me home to land in my own sense of well-being. That's a gift. That's amazing. Why shoot the messenger? And then on Thursday, the question, the best things I've learned about life are. Well, there you have it. Right at the top, the best things. Some of the toughest times in my life have led to the deepest insights and the greatest strengths. How about this one? I'm so grateful that I am not the person I used to be. Wow. How about this one? I've learned about life with gratitude that with all of this 20-something spiritual practice and prayer and meditation and selfless service and study, that I can still be mean-spirited and petty and jealous, and that every day I get invited to decide which path I'm going to walk. It's beautiful. How about this one? The things that I just mentioned, that I struggle with, everybody struggles with. And that we are not alone. And that we journey this path together. And thank God that I have spiritual community where we will judge each other, into right behavior. You know you're judging me right now. The other thing I've learned about life is this, that my grandmother was always right. She used to say all the time, "You've got nothing to complain about." She was right. No matter how long the list is, she's right. Every day she's right. And I've learned about life that every single moment I'm learning something new. My friend Randall says, "I give thanks for the sadness and anxiety I sometimes feel because it leads me to adjust my mental life to one that is more positive. It opens my eyes to the extremes of human suffering, and it allows me to empathize more sincerely with my fellow humans." He says, "I give thanks for the rough times with my partner. Through them, I understand how to love more purely and selflessly. And I give thanks for the frightening health situations that instruct me how my body functions and how I operate in the world as a physical being." It's not a happy pep talk. It's a deep look into life for the true treasure and gift. It's a deep look. It's a call to not live life unconscious. I loved yesterday one of the nicest things that people have done for you. Oh, I needed more than 10 slots. But you know what popped right into my head was the ongoing list of cards in the mail that are coming in. You know, they are just incredible. And this one. Dear Edward, I wanted you to know how much I appreciate and enjoy the center. Your messages draw on the wisdom of different spiritual traditions, yet they apply to life in the here and now. The atmosphere here, so this is your part. The atmosphere here is honest and beautiful and uplifting, and I come away feeling encouraged and healed. Thank you for creating such an amazing, healthy, and inclusive community. See, it's your part. And let's look at this one over here. This one over here, it's got one line in it, and it had also a check, a generous check for the radio ministry. So by extension, it's going to be touching thousands of lives. Just one line. Thank you for the blessing of your gifts. And it's as powerful as an essay. I mean, it's just beautiful. And how about this one over here? This one made me smile because it comes from San Jose, which reminded me that the center in San Jose is also doing this gratitude practice, as well as the one in Vallejo and as well as the one in Kansas City. So clearly the inspiration must have come from this because somebody called me from the staff, one of the volunteers, to ask about marketing or something, and says, "Dear Reverend Fillion, please forgive my tardiness. It's not even tardy. It was a couple of days ago. You were very generous with your time and with all the information and insight you shared with me on marketing and working with volunteers." I was like, wow, I really did a lot. That was beautiful to receive that. I really enjoyed reading that. And then how about this one over here? Really, this is to you. And it came with a generous check. It says, I am grateful for my experience as a member of the center. That's it. Wonderful. I love this one because it came as an expression of gratitude for something I said to somebody. What I particularly like about it is that it's typewritten, and as the author of the note reminded me that she can no longer write very well because of arthritis. And so when I got this beautifully typed message, it was a reminder to me to get off of my excuses for what I can't do. And I was so inspired by this that I wrote a whole blog entry about my favorite excuses for not doing the things that lead to happiness. Beautiful. And this one just tickled me. I did one of the tourist things, taking a visitor to go and see the Armstrong Woods, and one of our community members saw me there and wrote me a thank you note. Dear Edward, thank you for going to Armstrong Woods yesterday. That's awesome. Isn't that awesome? Just thank you for showing up. Which reminds me of what are the nicest things that people have done for me. And the first thing that came up on my list is a note to you. A thank you to you, Santa Rosa, for taking me in and giving me a home and a community and a life. That's precious. I appreciate you. Let us pray. There is one power in and through all creation, known by many names, identified by many qualities or ideas. It is the same thing, and it is beyond all names and ideas. Still, we work with our words to recognize it. We say even it is love. We mean eternal love. We say it is light. We mean the intelligence of the creative genius of the universe. We say it is life. We mean it is existence without beginning and without end. We say it is joy. We mean the deep, uncaused celebration that is life expressing itself everywhere all of the time. And as we use these words to recognize that eternal presence, we remember to understand ourselves as being created from it, as living in it, as being inheritors of its eternality, so that we may realize strongly and powerfully together that while we travel in this temporary path, that we may not forget the eternal nature of our being. And that while we travel in this beautiful temporary place, we may not forget to cherish it and love it and each other and to be good stewards and kind souls. That we may remember that the love that is eternal is our most powerful and only true expression. And so it is with this prayer then that we establish ourselves in the mindset of serving all of creation, so that we may not only witness its beautiful unfolding, but do so in a way that is filled with respect and cherishing and love. We let our hearts open to look for those places where we can bring more light and more joy and more love and more kindness and more expressions of recognition. We look into our lives to wake up and having spoken this word of prayer then, the gratitude that follows is natural and beautiful. It rises up as the deep thought of the universe recognizes itself in us and in our prayer. And we call this moment, this eternal moment, home and blessed. And we feel our fortune. We feel our richness. We feel the goodness of our own soul. And we let it be. We let it all unfold, trusting the spiritual laws of the universe to deeply establish us in this, the mood and atmosphere and content of our prayer. This is the way of things. It unfolds around us and through us according to this prayer we set in motion, and we are glad of it. And together we say, and so it is. And I invite you to breathe in with me and to sigh. I ask the ushers to stand now. This whole month I've been asking you, when you prepare your gift, to think of all the ways that you've been benefited from this center, having it in your life, what you've received from it, what it's done for you when it's been there for you. Today I'm going to invite you to think of what you've brought to the center. It may be that your presence in the church